That was funny. Oh, man. All right, guys, I'm going to start catching up to you. Some of us are transitioning away from statistics. We're done with this. Some of you are still working on this, but I'm going to catch up to you. I'm going to start with the last one, the histogram problem. So you sorted that bad boy. It was, right, 79 minus 61, right? 3.6. Please don't use 3.6. Don't do that to yourself. Round this to 4, right? So if you got like 3.07, round it to 4. If you round it down, it's not going to be wide enough to cover all the data points. Does that make sense? It's okay to overcover. You just want everybody to have a place to go. I'm glad nobody asked me. I'll tell you this when we get to the end of these classes. There's one little thing people think should happen that shouldn't have to happen. So you should start at 61. And then, of course, the next class will start at 65. If you keep adding 4, yay. And now these are going to start one less. Yay. And then if you do the inequality method, you're probably fine. Right, I showed you on the board exactly what those should look like. Now, I think everybody had an okay time with sorting it. If you can't sort, you just count shit. Hopefully next time I get some more. I think I have a stack in my office that I know need charging. So I'll try to charge some more calculators for next time. But also maybe, get one. On test dates, you can borrow one from the library also. Because I will have some, but I might run out if not enough people get them their own. And that'll suck for you if you don't have one. Just feel bad, but oh well. So I think you guys, what'd you guys get here? You think you got 2 here? 2? 11?
7.
Oops. 2. Yeah, there. Is that what everybody got? Okay. And what's a quick check you should do right here? Add them up. 35. Thank God, because it's 35. Please do that. Please just check. It really sucks when you have like 80 and you found 79. You're like, oh my God, who did I leave out? If it's that point on a test and you're running out of time, just do the whole thing and put, I don't know which one I missed. I'm going to take off very minimal points. I grade heavy on concept. You make a little mistake like 2 times 3 is 5. Hopefully you don't believe that. But you're not going to miss a lot of points if the concepts were applied correctly after that. That's why I don't do Scantron. In fact, any math teacher that needs to get a Scantron test is not a math teacher. They're just trying to pretend to be one. Geez, Jeff, you have strong opinions? Yes. How do I make this relative frequency? Yeah, 2 out of 35. What'd you guys give for that? 5.7. And 11 out of 35 gives you 31.4. 13 out of 35 gives you 37.1. 7 out of 35, that's an easy one. 20. And then 2 out of 35, if that sounds familiar. Exciting. Now, cumulative frequency, I wanted to put it down here because it's in the homework. I normally don't really ask about it on a test. I don't care that much about it, but just so you know what it means. Right here, I've accumulated just this much so far. Here, I add that. Real quick, by the way, do you see how that plus that is that? Because 2/35 plus 11/35 is 13/35. Ooh, so it's not big. All right, and then if I move one more down, I add those together, and I've accumulated this much so far, right? Add 20, I've accumulated this much so far. 5.7. Why does it not come out to be exactly 100%? Because we rounded. Kick ass. It's got to be close. If you get like 97%, no, you left some poor dude out. You get 103%, you created people, which is freaking me out. Right? I'm like, what does that mean? All right. So now, since I chose the textbook method, I've got to go down by a half, and then I just keep adding 4. That's the beautiful thing about that width. It controls everything. Bam. What do I label this? Chicken scratch. No, I mean, what is my horrible writing? What are these? What are these? Yes, Father's Heights. I love it. Don't put classes. I'm like, wow, thanks for explaining things to me. And then this guy, we got to be able to make it up to maybe 40, so he's got a place to be. So maybe we can go by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Yay. And then this is going to be relative frequency. I like it. And then you just make the bars the right height. Now it's the easy step, right? Should be. That's got to go up to 5.7, so a little bit over 5. And then 31. Okay, pen, stay with me. And then 37. That's a little too tall, but oh well. Shit. Yeah. That's why you don't want to use a pen. And then 20. And then 5 again. Does that look roughly normal? Yeah, I like that. Why does it look roughly normal? Because it starts low, goes high, and it comes back below. That's roughly normal. Looks like it's trying to flick us off, right? That's what the the histogram looks like for a roughly normal curve. Looks like somebody looking at the bar. I like it. So that's that side. Any questions from that? I will give you a problem basically exactly like this on the quiz or the test. Okay. So you guys prepare for class in different ways. All right. This first guy should be quick. Stems are going to be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 6? No 6s? No. And then this is the less interesting part. I mean, you just sort these bad boys and you put them in there. So what do you get up here?
2, 3, 6, 5, 6, 8, 8.
Wait. That's
Oh, just kidding. Wrong one.
you tricked me. So there's just 120, right?
Yep.
25. And then 30, there's 35. Right? Oh, there's no 20s. You went to 30. I appreciate you. So you don't leave the empties out. You got to represent them. So it's sort of like having an empty class on a histogram. It's still information.
31.
There's 31?
Yep.
1?
1, 2.
1?
Is there 1, 2, 2?
1, 2.
I love you guys so much.
There's 1, 2, 2.
1, 2, 2. I got you.
1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8.
Okay.
1, 1, 5.
1, 1, 5.
0, 5.
0. There's a 6 in the 40s also. And 2.
Do they have to be in order?
Whew. Not necessarily, but you might as well. And then the key is going to be easy. Yeah, 1, 2 equals 12.
So we can pick any number, right?
Yes, anything. It doesn't even have to be one that's in here. When you look at a map, I know Google Maps exists and I tell you all this shit, but have you ever looked at like a real map and it's got the scale at the bottom? That's what the key is. So then you can interpret. It's not going to tell you a scale for every town, 2 towns. That would sort of defeat the purpose. One scale, you apply it where you want to. One key, you apply it where you want to. So I can even put 1, 1 equals 11. Is there an 11 on here? No, but that enables somebody to read this shit. That's all that matters. I like it. You don't need that though. All right. This one, I just want to show you. And again, I hope somebody's interested in this like a little tiny bit. If I just put 4 or 5 like it seems to want, I just have 2 long ass rows of data. It doesn't visually tell me shit. It's not, I have good enough resolution. So the standard way to do this, what does this really mean? 4.0 to 4.9, 5.0 to 5.9. Do you guys see that's what that means? Inherently, that's what it means. So inherently, if somebody does this, they mean this. I know if I see a stem and leaf like this, I know they broke it up in half again. Can you do it even further? Of course you can. I'm not going to. And then there, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to make us suffer through this like we did up here. You guys just fill in the shit. Hopefully you put it in an order. You can just put them in, right? So for example, there's a 4.0. Anyway, you guys with me? I'm not going to. You just put them all in there. Whoop-de-doo. What would your scale? What would your key look like?
4.
4.0.
Yeah. Bam. Just don't forget that bad boy, right? That so sucks to lose some points just because you didn't put a key down. Right? You're like, just don't do it, Jeff. Well, I have to. You make me. I'm sorry. It's too bad. And then we finally got this shampoo thing, and some of us have lived this experience. I remember when I'm single or when I'm with somebody, that shampoo disappearing is such a different situation. Like, what the hell? I got to go buy shampoo again? I'm not used to that shit. And the conditioner, forget about it. It's been sitting in there for years. Anyway, sorry. Very different experience. So you could maybe tease out who the men and women are in this, possibly. I'm not, anyway. So how many consumers were surveyed? So I love it when you first look at this, you're like, how the shit would I know? But how do you know? How many in this first bar? I didn't necessarily mean for this to be a trick question, but you just got to know how to read this. How many are in this first bar? 11. Because it doesn't go up a full step, does it? And I can't have half a person. That's freaky. Right? So it's 11 plus 6 plus 2 plus 1 is 20. 20 people. How many classes are there? How many are empty? Good. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 4 classes. It's 6 classes. 2 of them happen to be empty.
Wait,
Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm confused about that one. Why would it be 6 and not 4? Like I see where you're getting the 6 from, but if 2 of them are empty.
So on this, where are the classes up here? That's a class, that's a class, that's a class.
Oh.
Even if there was nothing in it, it's still a class, right? So if I say how many classrooms are there and you say 2, when there's really 20, it just happens to be 2 with people in it.
Oh.
Wait a minute. So
Okay.
classes are the total number of places data could have shown up.
Okay.
So there's 2 that are empty. There's still classes though. I like it. And then class width, you can just see it.
20 weeks.
20. I like it. You can even put units on there, but that's all right. Don't. And then this one makes me sad sometimes because, I'm sorry if it make you feel bad, but you got to know what the hell at least means, right? When I think of at most or at least would be you must be at least this tall to ride the ride. So if I have to be at least 40 inches to ride the ride, if I'm 39 inches, I can't get on that thing unless I wear my elevator shoes. Does anybody still remember that being really sad that you weren't quite tall enough?
Yeah.
And then that day you got there, like you could finally ride that ride? Scared the shit out of you. All right, sorry. So at least is like trying to get on a ride. You got to be at least this tall. So that or more. At most is like trying to eat off the kids menu at Denny's. You could be at most 12 to eat off the kids menu, so that or less. You guys with me? You gotta know what this shit at most and at least means. So at least 40 weeks, how many people are we talking about? Yeah, these two and this one. So 3 out of 20, which is 15%. Sweet. And I would put money on them being men, but whatever. Although nowadays it's not the same. I don't know. All right. Any questions from that before I move away from it? Okay. That's tripadelic. All right. So we got done with 2-2. 2-1, 2-2. So let me ask you guys this. Anybody taken the SAT test out of curiosity? Anybody? You guys? Do you remember how they give you your results? Do you remember how do they give them to you? Do they still give you percentiles? No? They used to. All right. How about ACTs? Anybody even know what an ACT is? Have you taken the ACT?
Yeah, but I don't remember how they give you.
Okay.
Yeah.
They give you a number, but they used to also give you a percentile. Maybe they just kind of gave up, sort of like they gave up on people calculating their own tips. You know, they just have it there. Shit. All right, now let's. Is it the same test every time they give it? Hell no, right? It couldn't be, because then somebody could obviously do something nefarious, right? But if they change the SAT test each time, could they randomly make it a harder test? Not even meaning to, it just sort of became a harder test. So wouldn't you want your score to represent what you know, independent of how hard the test was? Wouldn't it suck to go, your friend goes the time was really easy, and then you go the time was really hard, and then you can't get into your college you want to because your college is being a dork. You didn't meet the cutoff. You guys understand what I'm saying? So normally they give it to you in percentiles. Or they probably, maybe nowadays they calculate it behind the scenes, I don't know. But does it make sense? I want a score where 80% doesn't mean I got 80% right. It means something else. It tells me where I am relative to everybody else. So if I got the 80th percentile, does anybody know what that might mean? If I scored in the 80th percentile, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't mean you made an 80%.
You scored better than me.
Yes, I scored higher than 80% of the other people that took that test. So if they make an overall harder test, won't everybody's scores go down a little bit? Won't everybody be relatively in the same place? Do you see what I'm saying? So that's what makes it fair then. If the test happens to be harder or easier, they make it relative using percentiles. So would it be good well, let's see, not everybody knows how golf works. Do you guys know how golf works? Golf has come up twice today. I don't like golf too much, but remember the lower the score, the better? So I just kind of gave it away. Would it be better to have a lower percentile or a higher percentile in golf? Lower percentile, because then less people scored lower than you, and lower is good. You guys with me? How about the number of mistakes you make on a test? You want to have a high percentile or a low percentile? Low, because then less people made less mistakes than you. But if we're talking about your What do you got, Jeff? Even like the rent you pay. Again, would you rather have a high percentile or a low percentile? Do you want more people to pay less than you or less people to pay less than you? I want less people to pay less than me. I want a lower percentile. So if I was in the 20th percentile rent, that would mean that only 20% pay less than I do. Which would mean how many pay more than I do? 80%. Now, probably that means also that you're not living in the choicest of areas, right? But my God, I've lived in some crap areas because I'm like, I ain't got that much. I lived in a basement basically where they made a room out of the basement. The hot water pipe was running across the top. I would hang my clothes over that to have them dry. It had a shallow and a deep end. So, I mean, I've lived in, and it was like, anybody ever seen Laverne and Shirley? You know, it's a million years old, but they had people, you can see their legs walking by because they were underneath the ground basically. That was where it was great. It was perfect because I was barely there. It was $326 a month. Yeah, think about that. Of course, back then, so hey. All right, so how do I calculate a percentile of something then? Let me put an example up here. We're all going to get it wrong, and we're going to figure out why it's wrong. You're working today, I see. Let me just make up some more numbers. How many do I have so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So 10 numbers up there. Can somebody give me a guess as to what the 80th percentile would be? Yes. Okay, I got it. One guess would be 50. This is the symbol, by the way, for 80th percentile. It's a big P with a little 80. Sounds like a new exercise craze, but no. What is that, P90 exercise? Well, anybody else have a different guess? Why did you think it was that one? It's the 8th number, okay. Plus it has how much above it? 20%, 2 out of 10, right? Okay. Well, anybody other guess? Other guess?
29.
Say again?
29.
29?
You're reading it from this way.
I see. But we know percentile means that percent below it, right?
Does it matter on like the amount of numbers, or does it matter? Like
It does. So, but all right. So let me tell you, this is wrong because how many's below it? How many numbers are below it? 7. So 70% is below it. So what seems to maybe be another guess? 51 maybe, because it's got 8 below it, right? But how many does it have above it? 10%. Shit! So, stay with me now. Stay with me. There is an answer. The right answer is the number in between these two. What's in between 50 and 51? 50.5, right? How many numbers are below it? 8 out of 10. 80% is below it, which is what the 80th percentile is supposed to do, right? And how many are above it? 2 out of 10, 20% is above it. Okay. Maybe. So, here's how percentiles work. There are 2 steps. All right, so here's an example. To find P80. Good Lord, dude. Let me see if one of you guys are working. Oh my gosh. That's not too bad. Holy crap. All right. So the first step is to take 80% of the total number of data points. Whenever I do an example, I've got to be careful that people aren't taking the wrong things away. So when I first started teaching stats, I would do this example, and I'd say 80% of 10, and then somebody would do other percentiles and always do times 10, always times 10, even if there were 78 data points. So if I had 78 data points, P80, the first step would be 80% of 78. The 10 is not magic. They're just 10 numbers up here, right?
So it's always just out of the number.
The number of things, yes. I like it. Why does this make sense? Because where should P80 be? It should be 80% of the way into the list. Now, of course, the list has to be in order, or else I can make anything P80. If I can just change the order, I don't want to be. Let me change the order around. No. So that's the first step. What is 80% of 10? 0.8 times 10. 8. Oh, you're going to love this shit. Stay with me now. There are two things. If you get a whole number, that means you average that one with the next one. Doesn't it match up with what we did? We did something that just made sense. The math better agree with that shit, or we throw the math out. Don't get excited. It's a whole number, which means I average the 8th and the 9th, which is exactly what we did, right? If I get a whole number on the first step, I average that one with the next. So I got 8, I average the 8th and 9th. So then P80 equals 50 plus 51 divided by 2 equals 50.5. Bam. I love you guys. Now, real quick, is this a very large set of data? Is this a very large set of data? It's 10 numbers. No. So there aren't enough data points. This is a great example to get an idea for how this works. But I want you to see if you guys realize this. P75 equals P76 equals P77 for these numbers. There's not enough data points for every P to have its own number. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying. So let's do this. Let me show you one more example for the other situation. So one situation, whole number, you average that with the next one. What if it doesn't come out to be a whole number? Okay, let's do an example like that. So to find P, what you got, Jeff? P27. The steps don't really change. What would the first step be? I want to find P27, the 27th percentile. So what do I do on the first step? 27% of 10, because there's 10 data points. So 0.27 becoming equals. 0.27 times 10 is 2.7. Is that a whole number? No. If you get a whole number, you round it with the next one. So I got an 8 on the first one, so I round the 8th and the 9th. If you get anything else, you round up and take that number. So I round up to 3. What's the third number? So P27 equals 30. What would P28 be? 30. What would P26 be? 30. All right, I like it. So percentiles kind of lose a little bit of their meaning when the sample's really small, because then each number can be multiple percentiles, right? Hopefully you guys get that. If I only have like 10 numbers, but I got P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, some of them I'm going to have to repeat. It's only 10 freaking numbers, right? And I go halfway between them, but still. Okay, maybe. So again, steps don't change. Something percent of how many there are to figure out where the answer is. Then you go get the answer. Please don't tell me the answer is 8. Right? 8 wouldn't even, 8's not even in the list. Holy shit. 8 is kind of like a location, but since it's a whole number, I take the 8th and the 9th number and then average them together. Why? We freaking knew that before we even did this shit. We knew we'd have to do something like that. Just by looking at the data. Okay, maybe. Okay, all right. So let's do some more with this. I have a purpose for doing these specific questions now. Yeah. What do you think another name would be for P25? That's 25% of the way in. 25% of the way into a football game is the end of the first quarter. So I'm going to call this also, another name for this is Q1. First quarter. Ooh, amazing math. Good job. Does that change anything? No. Still the same 2 steps. What's the first step? 25% of. Again, 10 in this example. If you have 38 data points, you better not use 10. What's 25% of 10? See it? 2.5, what do I do with that? Make it to 3, I like it. So it's not a whole number, you round it up and take that number. So for me, if I were one of you, I'd be rooting for not whole numbers because that makes it easy. Round it up and take that number. Round it up and take that number. Sweet. If it's a whole number, you go, oh shit. You got to round that with the next one. So the answer is going to be at the third number. What's the third number? 30. All right. Of course, that's not a big surprise because we just did P27, which was 30. So P25, same thing. There are going to be a lot of repeats. Okay, maybe. You guys do these two. P50, what would be another name for P50? That's crazy. P75? No way. All right, figure those two out.